Oh, it's quite all right. You're not disturbing me. I'd much rather talk than write. Yet, here I am, day after day, haunted by one thought. I must write, I must write, I must write. This is my study, the place in which I write my stories. I built it myself, actually. Got the timber and fitted the logs. I made an awful mess of it. I do my writing here, on this side of the room, because the roof tends to leak directly over my desk. I moved the desk, but it covers the hole that I left in the floor. And of course, the entire room was built on the side of a hill, so in heavy rains, everything tends to slide down. Still, many's the day I stood in this cabin and passed my neighbors in the road. And still, I'm happy here. Though I don't quite get enough visitors to suit me. People tend to shy away from writers. They assume that we're always busy thinking. Not true. Why? Even my dear sweet mother doesn't wish to disturb me, so she always tiptoes up and leaves my food outside the door. I haven't had a hot meal in years. Still, I've done some good writing in here. Perhaps too much. I often look outside and think that life is passing me at a furious rate. So I ask myself the question, what force is it? What force is it that compels me to write so incessantly, day after day, page after page, story after story? I think the answer is quite simple. I have no choice. I am a writer. You know, sometimes I think I might be mad, but I assure you all I'm quite harmless. Though I do admit to fits of wandering. I'm engaged in conversations where I hear nothing. I see only the silent movement of lips and respond to meaningless yes, yes, of course. All the while thinking, oh, it'll make for a wonderful character in a story, that. Still, while I'm writing, I enjoy it. And I like looking at the proofs, but as soon as it appears in print, I can't bear it. I see that it's all wrong, mistake. That it never should have been written in the first place. And I'm miserable. And the public reads it. Yes, charming, clever, charming, but a far cry from Tolstoy. Or a fine thing, but Turgenev's Fathers and Sons was better. So, it'll be my dying day. Charming and clever. Charming and clever. Nothing more. When I die, my friends will walk by my grave and say, here lies so-and-so. Great writer, but Turgenev was better. You know, it's funny, but before you all came in, I was thinking to myself, what if I just gave it all up one day? What would I do instead? Well, I've never freely admitted this to anyone before, but to you all in the theater tonight, I'd like to tell you what I like to do most in my life. You see, ever since I was a boy, ever since... Excuse me, just a moment. An idea occurred to me. A subject for a short story. Yes, it was my mentioning of the theater that sparked me. What was it you were talking about a moment ago? Oh, no matter. My thoughts are consumed in this story. See if it appeals to you. It starts in the theater. It starts on the opening night of the new season. It starts with all those dear and devoted patrons of the arts who smile and greet each other in the grand salon, commenting on how this one looks and how that one's dressed, scarcely knowing about what they're there to see that night. With the exception of one man, Ivan Ilyich Cherdyakov. If Ivan Ilyich Cherdyakov, a civil servant, a clerk in the Ministry of Public Parks, had any passion in life at all, it was the theater. He certainly had hopes for higher office, and had dedicated his life to hard work, zeal, patience. Still, he would not deny himself his one greatest pleasure. So he purchased 2 tickets in the very best section of the theater for the opening night performance of Rostov's The Bearded Countess. As fortune would have it, into the theater that night came his respected superior, General Mikhail Brassilhoff, who was the Minister of Public Parks himself.
Good evening, General.
Oh, yes. Good evening.
Permit me, sir. I am Cheryakov, Ivan Ilyich. This is a great honor for me, sir.
Yes.
Like yourself, dear General, I too serve the Ministry of Public Parks. That is to say, I serve you, who is himself the Minister of Public Parks. I'm the Assistant Chief Clerk in the Department of Trees and Bushes.
Oh, yes. Keep up the good. Lovely trees and bushes this time of year. Very nice.
Good morning, Mr. Stimulon. Please, Prochaska, lower your voice. I'm sorry, it's just that my gout is acting up again, and my nerves are like little firecrackers. The least little friction can set them. Must be very painful, sir.
I hope you enjoyed the play, sir.
I will if I can watch it.
Feeling quite pleased with himself for having made the most of this golden opportunity, Ivan Ilyich Cheryakov sat back to enjoy The Bearded Countess. He was no longer a stranger to the Minister of Public Parks. They had become, well, if one wanted to be so generous of the matter, familiar with each other. Then, quite suddenly, without any warning, like a bolt from a gray thundering sky, Ivan Ilyich Cheryakov reared his head back and... Achoo!
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, Excellency. I'm so terribly sorry.
Never mind. It's all right.
All right? It is certainly not all right. It was unforgivable. It was monstrous of me.
You make too much of the matter. Let it rest.
How can I let it rest? It was inexcusable. Permit me to wipe your neck, General. It's the least I can do.
Leave it be. It's all right, I say.
But I splattered you. Your head is completely and utterly splattered. It was an accident, I assure you, but it's disgusting.
Sorry. Terribly sorry.
Thing is, Your Excellency, it came completely without warning. It was out of my nose before I could stifle it. Yes, certainly. I'm sorry. It's not a cold if that's what you're worrying about. Probably just a particle of dust that entered my nostril.
Shush.
Try as he might, Cheryakov could not put the incident out of his mind. The sneeze, no more than the innocent anatomical accident, grew out of proportion in his mind until it resembled the angry roar of a cannon aimed squarely at enemy camp. Played back the procedure in his mind, slowing it down so he could view again in horror the infamous deed. Achoo!
Charming. Yes, charming. Charming. Simply charming. Wasn't it charming, my dear? I found it utterly charming.
Oh, I was completely charmed by it.
Excuse me, Excellency.
Who's that tapping? Somebody's tapping me. Who's that tapping?
I'm tapping. I'm the tapper, Sir Cheryakov.
Stand back, dear. It's the sneezer.
No, I'm all sneezed out. I was just worrying about your going into the night with a damp head.
All that? It was a trifle. A mere faux pas. Amusing play, don't you think? Didn't you find it amusing?
Amusing. So true. Yes, I haven't laughed this much in years.
Which part is the most?
The sneeze. When I sneezed at you, it was unforgivable, sir.
Forget it, young man. Oh, my dear. It looks like rain. I don't want to get my head wet again.
You shouldn't let people sneeze on you, dear. You're not to be sneezed at.
I'm ruined. I'm ruined. He'll have me fired from trees and bushes. He'll send me down to branches and twigs.
Come on.
What?
You mustn't let it concern you. It's just a harmless little sneeze. Jen's probably forgotten it already.
Do you really think so?
No. I'm scared,
And so, they walked home in despair.
Perhaps I should send him a nice gift. Maybe some Turkish towels.
Chiryakov's once promising career had literally blown away.
Why did I go to the theater? Why didn't I stay home? Why didn't we sit with people of our own class? They love sneezing at each other. Perhaps if I were to call on the general and explain the matters once more, but in such a charming, honest, and self-effacing manner, he would have no choice but to forgive me.
Maybe it's best not to remind him, Ivan.
No, no. If I wish to become a gentleman, I must behave like one.
So, the morning came. So it happened this was the day the general listened to petitions. But since there were 50 or 60 petitions ahead of Cheryakov, he waited for morning till late afternoon.
Next! Next!
I'm not next, Excellency, I'm last.
Very well then. Last.
That's me.
Well, what is your petition?
I have no petition, sir. I'm not a petitioner.
Then you waste my time.
Do you not recognize me, Excellency? We met last night under rather explosive circumstances. I'm the splatterer.
The what?
The sneezer? The one who sneezed, the sneezing splatterer.
Indeed. And what do you want now? A gesundheit?
No, Excellency. Your forgiveness. I just wanted to point out there was no political or antisocial motivation behind my sneeze. It was a nonpartisan, nonviolent act of God, and I curse the day this protuberance formed itself in my face. It's a hateful nose, sir, but I am not responsible for its indiscretions. Punish that for which committed the crime, but absolve the innocent body behind it. Exile my nose, your kind sir, but forgive me! Forgive me!
My dear young man, I am not angry with your nose. I am much too busy to time for your nasal problems. I suggest you go home, take a hobby, or quote, take something. No buttons to sleeveless again. Gibber, 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 gibber. That's what I heard all day. Gibber, 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 gibber.
Thank you, sir. God bless you and your wife and your household. May your days be sweet and may your nights be better than your days.
The feeling of relief that came over Cheryakov was enormous.
May the birds sing in the morning, and may the coffee in your cup be strong and hot.
The weight of the burden that was lifted was inestimable.
I worship the chair that you sit on and the jacket that sits on this chair that I worship.
He walked home, whistling, singing like a lark. Life was surely a marvel, a joy, a heavenly paradise.
God, I am happy.
And
yet,
when he arrived home, he began to think.
have I been the butt of a cruel and thoughtless joke?
Had a minister toyed with him?
If he had no intention of punishing me, then why did he torment me so unmercifully?
If the sneeze had meant so little to the minister, then why had he deliberately caused Cheryakov to writhe in his bed?
To twist in agony the entire night.
Cheryakov was furious.
I am furious!
He foamed and fumed and paced the night through. And in the morning, he called out to his wife, Sonia!
Sonia! I have been humiliated.
You, Ivan? Who would humiliate you? You're such a kind and generous person.
Who? I'll tell you who. General Brasselhoff, the Minister of Public Parks himself.
What did he do?
The swine. He humiliated me in such subtle fashion it was almost indiscernible. The man's cunning is equal only to his cruelty. He practically forced me to go into his office and grovel and beg on my knees. I was reduced to a gibbering idiot.
You were that reduced?
I must go back there and tell them what I think of them. The lower class must speak up. The world must be made free so that men of all nations and creeds, regardless of color or religion, shall be free to sneeze on their superior. It will be he who will be humiliated by I.
And so the next morning, Cheryakov came to humiliate he.
Last.
Well, you say. Do you not recognize me, Excellency? Look at my face. Yes, it is I once again.
It is you once again who?
Cheryakov, Excellency, returning, taking neither a hot bath nor a cold one.
Who let this filthy man in? What does he want?
What is it? What is it, you say? You sit there and ask, what is it? You sit there behind your desk as General and Minister of Public Parks, a high-standing position among the upper class, and ask me, a lowly civil servant, what is it? You sit there knowing full well that there is no equality in this life, that there are those who beg and those who are begged to. There are those of us who serve and those who are served. There are those of us who obey and those who are obeyed, that in this life certain events take place that cause some of us to be humiliated and some of us to have the cause of said humiliation, and still you ask, what is it?
What is it? Don't just stand there gibber like an idiot. What does he want?
I'll tell you what I want. I want to apologize again for sneezing on you. I wasn't sure I made it clear. It was an accident, I assure you.
Out. Out. You idiot. Fool. Imbecile. Get out of my sight. I never want to see you again. If you ever cross my line of vision again, I'll have you exiled forever. What is your name? You germ spreader. You maggot. You insect. You are lower than an insect. You are the second cousin to a cockroach. You are the son-in-law of a bed bug. You are the nest of a ringworm. You are nothing. Nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing!
At that moment, something broke loose inside of Teriyaka. Something so deep, so vital, so organic. The damage that was done seemed irreparable. Something drained from him that day that could only be described as the very life force itself. The matter was over. It was done. For once, for all, forever. What happened next was fairly simple. Teriyaka arrived home. Removed his coat. Laid down on the sofa and died. Wait! For those of you who are offended by life's cruelty, there is an alternate ending. Teriyaka arrived home, moved his coat, laid down on the sofa, and inherited 5 million rubles!
What? Really? Woo! Sonia!
There's not much point to it, but it is uplifting. It's not my intention to paint life any harsher than it already is. Though there are some of us who are, indeed, trapped. Trapped by our social or economic status. Trapped by our sense of duties. Trapped by love. Trapped by fear. Trapped by pain. Trapped is, well, man. New story. You know, it's been said that man is the only living creature capable of laughter, and that faculty separates us from other lower forms of life.